Am I the a-hole for ignoring my dad and the new family he's made, including his other children? My parents got divorced almost 8 years ago after my sister, who was 3 at the time, died. I was 10 at the time. When my sister died, my dad treated my mom like garbage. He turned emotionally and verbally abusive and blamed my mom for my sister's death. He'd do this in front of me, along with plenty of name-calling. My sister was born premature, and even though it wasn't super early, she had an issue with her heart and her stomach, and a combination of complications from those things was the reason she died. None of that was my mom's fault. My parents had IVF to conceive my sister because they couldn't naturally have more kids after me. The whole thing really destroyed my mom and made me hate my dad. Like, I would not care if he dropped dead, and for a while, I wished he would so he'd stop treating my mom like crap. He continued during and even after the divorce. What made him stop was when I turned 13. I told him I hated him and I never wanted to see him again, and I fought, with my mom's help, for the ability to stop being at his house, which I won. I turned 15 before I could get out of every call or visit, though, because the judge tried to insist on contact for a while. Dad fought to have a relationship with me. I didn't want one, and I still don't. He's since remarried and has at least 1 kid. He sent an invite to his wedding, which I ignored. He tried to let me know about his kid, but I ignored him then too. He tried to use the 2 relatives who still talk to him to get to me, but I told them I wanted nothing to do with him or any kids he has, and I don't care if that makes us have siblings because we're never going to be family, and that's not something I'll ever feel guilty for or regret. He's still trying though. Then I got this DM from his wife, who told me that my dad always loved me and I had to understand what losing my sister did to him. Then she pleaded the case for her kids, saying they are innocent and deserve the chance to have a relationship with me. She said ignoring them just meant I was furthering the hurt, and it wasn't fair to the innocent in all of this. I ignored that too, and got roasted by one of the relatives my dad talks to, who told me I was using this as a punishment, when it was time for healing and to think about the innocence of the children involved. So here's me asking if I'm the a-hole, because I still feel unmoved by all of this, and still intend to ignore them and have no relationship, even with the half-siblings. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your father's wife is out of line, as is the other relative. If your father and his wife haven't done expectations with their children about a relationship with you, then they are the ones hurting the kids. You're doing nothing but protecting your peace. I would suggest blocking them all and don't engage any further. I think their kid, or kids, are only babies, so like they don't need to worry about the kids wanting that yet. And they could just not talk about me, and that'd save any problems. There's no reason for them to know. I have my dad blocked. I blocked his wife after her DM too, but I can only block as they pop up. Hopefully that's going to be it for contact. Maybe tell her some of what he did to your mom and you, to make her see why you can't just forgive and forget. Also, tell her that he never acknowledged what he did or apologized to your mom, which indicates to you that he doesn't really have any true regrets and just expects you to rug sweep. How were your first 10 years with him before he turned into a monster? I loved my dad before, and we were close before he turned into an awful person and verbally abused my mom. Not the a-hole. Some people don't even have relationships with their fullest siblings, never mind step-siblings. Your dad has taken a long time to realize he was an a-hole. He is now seeing the results of the law of unintended consequences. You are not a therapy person for your dad's wife's kids. I'm not even sure if he realizes that, or if he just simply thinks he can make it up to me. Not once did he reach out to apologize to mom for how he treated her and blamed her for my sister's death. Not the a-hole. He was a monster to a woman that was going through one of the worst pains a woman could face. I can't even imagine what your mother had to endure. Block his wife since she doesn't know her place. She had no business contacting you. Go completely no contact with him, and keep shutting down every attempt to gaslight and manipulate you into playing happy family with him and his new family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for always saying my stepfather is not my dad or real dad, in retaliation for him calling my dad my birth father or the guy who made his son? My dad died when I, 16 male, was 8. My mom married her husband when I was 12. We don't really see eye to eye, and a big reason is he's called my dad my birth father, or the guy who made my son, since he and mom moved in together. To me, birth father sounds like I was adopted, or I'm a donor-conceived kid, which I'm not. I'm not her husband's son either, so him calling my dad the guy who made his son ticks me off. I told him, and I told my mom, that I didn't like how he talked about my dad. He told me I was being nitpicky and sensitive, and that he's just letting people know he's the person raising me now. My mom told me there are worse things than being called his son, and a lot of kids would be giddy if a step-parent claimed them. I told her I'm dad's son and will never be her husband's. She told me she loved dad too, and used to think it would be weird to be another man's wife, but she said it's so healing to let someone else in. Then she asked me why I couldn't be happy to have two dads, and I told her because I don't, and I don't want two dads either. She said that made her sad, and I told her that her sadness didn't help me with her husband. When I called him that, she visibly cringed and told me it was such an impersonal way to speak about him. I said to speak to her husband about that when he calls my dad the guy who made his son. For 4 years, me and my mom's husband have been tense over this. And last year I started always saying he wasn't my dad, or he'll never be my real dad. I'll even do it when he's being nice because he still talks about dad like he always has. It gets under his skin and it pleases me. It upsets my mom, and given she didn't care about how I felt, I decided to ignore it. But the other night he blew up because I told him he wasn't my dad in front of his friends and family, and friends of my mom. He told me I'm being disrespectful when all he's ever done is try to be a good dad, and I told him he's not my dad, and my dad isn't my birth dad, or the guy who made his son. I'm dad's son. I will always be dad's son, and I told him I would never want to be his son, and my dad would never want me to be his stepfather's son either. My mom asked me why I had to humiliate and disrespect him like that. I told her he can crap all over my dad's memory, so I will crap all over him, and I don't care. I said she chose him, and I didn't, and he's made me determined never to accept him, not even as a friend. She told me retaliating like I am isn't fixing anything and I'm hurting their feelings. I really don't care. I'm still angry at his choice of words, but I know it's petty, so I want to know if I'm an a-hole. Most kids would not be giddy to have a step-parent claim them. WTF, not the a-hole. It's just OP's mom trying to make herself feel better by comparing apples with oranges. Maybe a kid who never had a father would feel giddy if their stepfather claimed them. Maybe a kid who had never known their dad, or had an abusive dad, or a dad who disappeared on them. But that isn't OP. And by using that comparison, his mom is making it sound like she's further dismissing his dad as a parent to try to force her version of happy families. Mom doesn't want to acknowledge that by choosing it to marry a man who wouldn't respect her son's boundaries. She screwed up as a parent, so she continues to assault the memory of OP's dad to try to force his submission on the matter. Mom's husband is treating OP like something he should possess, like if OP acknowledges him as his dad, it wipes away that his wife had a life before him. I feel so sorry for OP. Losing your father at a young age would be awful enough. Having his memory continually attacked as part of an ongoing mission to replace him and rewrite history and biology is honestly cruel. It is. And the thing is, my mom claims she loved dad and all this, yet she married the guy who disrespected him over and over again. So clearly she stopped or didn't care that much in the first place, if that's okay with her. But to expect me to be giddy about the guy who craps all over dad claiming me as his son? I wish my mom would stand by me instead of her husband, but she made her choice and I won't fight for her to change it. She can decide what she likes. Remind your mom that after 18, staying in her life is a choice you get to make. Her husband needs to stop with this behavior if she wants to keep you in her life. She needs to get involved and put an end to this, not the a-hole. I've given up on her doing anything. She made it clear whose side she'll always take in this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he will have to handle it on his own right now? I am 36 female. My husband is 40. My mama, 82, has breast cancer. This is her 3rd time having it, and she's too tired to do chemo again. She is refusing it. She's tired of fighting and wants to go out with dignity at home. My mama is hands down the best person and mama I could have ever had. I don't think she has ever once raised her voice. She was and is the most caring person I've ever met. She was and is just as good of a grandmother as well. There are 14 of us, and I am the youngest. She raised 14 babies and 27 grandbabies, 6 great-grands, and probably just as many friends of babies and grandbabies. Never once raising her voice or hands to one of them. She was and is incredible. She and my dad have been together for 64 years, and I know as soon as Mama goes, Daddy will be right behind her. He looks like he has aged 10 years in just a few weeks. He's still doing everything he can for her, but neither of them are doing well. All of my siblings and I have been taking turns staying with them around the clock. On the days I'm there, I'm pretty much just making sure my kids are good for the night, fixing them dinner, and then going over there. My husband is supposed to get them to bed and then off to school in the morning. It isn't difficult. My kids know what to do. All he has to do is get them to bed, fix them breakfast in the morning, and wait with them for the bus. This has been a problem, and my husband is angry about it. He feels like I am spending too much time away from home and putting too much on his plate. I'm already devastated about losing my mom. I don't have the best amount of patience right now. The last time my husband and I got into an argument, I'd just gotten home with the kids after taking them to spend an hour with my parents. I had their dinner fixed. All it needed was to be warmed up. My husband got angry that I was dropping the kids off and leaving, and I basically went off on him and told him my mother is dying and he is just going to have to deal with it right now. Since then, we haven't spoken. He's basically giving me the silent treatment. I'm upset about everything going on and very angry with my husband right now. However, I don't know if I was an a-hole for going off on him. I don't think he fully deserved it, and we haven't spent time apart since we got married 12 years ago. So maybe I was being an a-hole? I know it isn't easy for him right now either, but I really expected him to step up and help considering the circumstances. I mean, they are his kids after all. He should be able to handle it. Now for the top comments. Let's put this in black and white, shall we? Your beloved mother is literally dying, and he doesn't give a damn about how this is affecting you. All he cares about is the fact that you are inconveniencing him by forcing him to have to actually parent his own kids for once. Let that sink in. Or how this is affecting their kids who are losing a grandmother. Not a good sign either. That losing his mother-in-law apparently isn't affecting him at all. Your husband should be your biggest source of comfort, rather than making himself a further source of stress. Not the a-hole. Absolutely dead on. I can't imagine saying a freaking word beside, "I'm here if you need me," if my wife's mother were dying of cancer and she were taking care of her. Microwave dinner, tell the kids to brush their teeth, wake up and wait with them for the bus to school? Easy. Dude's a piece of turd. And last story. Am I the a-hole for protecting myself from my biological father and his wife, even if it hurts my kid? When I, 44 female, was 9, my biological father allowed my stepfather to adopt me. My stepfather was a wonderful man who raised me with love and kindness. I even named my firstborn child after him. I don't blame my biological father for signing over his rights. I truly believe he thought my stepfather would give me a better life, and he was right. My mother, on the other hand, was a nightmare and made my life hell. I haven't had contact with her for about 9 years now, so I don't blame my biological father for walking away. I think he saw how bad she was and trusted my stepfather to take care of me. When my stepfather died, I decided to reach out to my biological father. Before then, it felt like it would have been a betrayal, but after my stepfather passed, it felt okay. At first, things went fairly well. Then his wife, who had no idea I even existed until then, found out about me. For context, I was around 36 at the time, and I'm 44 now. She did not take it well. She has a daughter and a son, but she told me she wanted her daughter to be the only one who gave my dad grandchildren. She was awful to me behind his back. She called me a whore, said my house was dirty, accused me of using people for money and so on. I put up with it because I just wanted my dad in my life, and I wanted my kids to have grandparents. She also wouldn't let my dad come see me unless she came too, but she visits her daughter alone all the time. My dad is a talented woodworker, and I asked him to make a bed for my youngest son. He refused, but then made one for her daughter instead. Her daughter's clearly their priority, and I get that to a point because technically, I didn't exist when they got married. After about 4 years, I finally told my dad about the things she was saying. He acted like he was going to fix it, and it stopped for about a year. But then he started saying horrible things to me himself. He told me I had a face like leather, that I looked like an Indian, which he meant as an insult, that I was lazy and old, and called me a liar for no reason. He even sent me an email telling me he was a better parent than me. Eventually, I decided I'd had enough and cut contact. It hurts, but what hurts more is realizing he was willing to treat me that way. Here's the part that makes me feel conflicted. I have 2 sons. One is 21, and he still has a relationship with my father, which I don't interfere with. I'm genuinely happy for them. But my younger son is only 6, and he keeps asking about his grandpa. I feel bad because I don't want to keep my son from family, but I also don't want to keep letting someone in my life who only insults and belittles me. I also don't want to destroy my dad's happiness with his wife, because honestly it seems like they're fine as long as I'm not around. So, am I the a-hole for cutting my father off completely, even though it means my 6-year-old loses contact with his grandfather? You are right to cut him off, because love should not come with cruelty. Protecting your child starts with protecting yourself. I've gone back and forth thinking that maybe I should let my youngest see him. I feel guilty that I chose to remove him from my son's life, but I'm also worried that since my son is a product of me, and I'm not there for them to belittle, that he will be next on the list. Your father's wife will not be pleasant to him. She will favor her grandchildren over your son, in front of your son, and she will belittle you to your son. Her grandchildren will get gifts, or much better gifts right in front of your son. Your father won't step in. You already know this. You cannot be a good mother and allow this to happen to him. You are right. When we did visit them in the past, she would have Amazon deliveries for her granddaughter come to the house, but never anything for my son. She would tell my son that they were for her granddaughter. To be honest, I never thought about it much because I always have provided for my kids. People don't really buy them anything. I have just always done it. Luckily, he was way too little to understand, but I can 100% see what you're saying coming into fruition. You are definitely right.